Hello, and hello. How y'all doing today? Welcome to Vessel of Hope. It's your Tuesday goodness, your Tuesday greatness, your Tuesday to get away from the world and what's going on. For us to just have a conversation. We're gonna have a conversation today. We're gonna have a nice dialogue. We're gonna talk, we're gonna chit chat a little bit and become better friends, right? The more I know about you, the more you know about me, the more our relationship can grow, right? Yes, thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you all. You know what I need for you to do for me, Sister BB? I need you to go ahead. If you're on Facebook, I need you to love it right there. For those of you that are on YouTube, Prophet Loretta, I need you to go ahead and click a like right there. Subscribe to it. Get the notification bar going. All the information and instructions for you right there on your screen. Go like, love, and click notification bar for us so we can become better friends, better acquainted, so that when we run a little late like today, we're like 3-4 minutes behind, you know that we're still coming on. I won't leave you hanging. Not on the Tuesdays. I will never leave you hanging on the Tuesdays because we're family, we're friends, we come together, right? So go ahead and like, love, and share. And I thank you and I appreciate it for that. I appreciate that. Appreciate you for that. So today, Prophet Sharice, Prophetess Joyce, we're going to be talking about I didn't understand it then. I didn't understand it then. Like right now, yes. Pastor Marcelle is wearing a turtleneck because it's cold in New York. It's 23 degrees, but it said it feels like 11. And I know there's some other states that's like -3 and so forth. But listen, we're in New York and it is freezing. If it was Apostle sitting here, Apostle would say, it's cold. When I would say, it's freezing outside, right? I have to hit the road after this, and I'm like, do I really need to go out and get that stuff to make that tacos? But yes, I do, because I really need to eat that tacos. And I'm going to try to convince Deacon Liam to come with me. He's going to be like, I can't do it. It's too cold. It's too cold. Sister Trinice is going to say it's too cold outside. Evangelist Finita can't do it. So let's go on. Today, I didn't understand this then, right? Think back on your life. Just think back. Let's do this. Let's do this together. Think back on your life. What are some things that you went through? Think. Some of you that are up there in the 80s, 90s, you got to think way back, right? What are some things that you went through or that happened to you and you didn't understand it? You didn't understand why it happened to you then, Prophet Loretta. You couldn't see why it happened, right? Some things something or things that you wish you could have made different decision about. There's a lot of things that you can think back. I think we all have them. I'm gonna speak to for us, right? I think we all have them. There's some decisions that we made. You're like, I wish I did that differently. I wish I dealt with that differently. I wish I'd said those words differently. I was seeing a meme where someone put up your brain is saying no, don't even respond to it, Prophet Sheree, just leave it alone, but your mouth just open up and said, well, what I really want to say, but you're like, I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't have did that. So there's some things that you wish you'd done differently. We all have them, right? So now we are going to try and find understanding in them. They happen, Prophet Loretta. They happen. They happened back in the days, and now we're going to try to find understanding with them. So today I want us to have this conversation, this dialogue, and on understanding, on why we didn't understand it then, but now we're going to try. The key word is we're going to try. We're going to try to find understanding in it today, right? But before we get into this conversation, I want to tell you what the wisest man, Solomon, said. Before that, let me see what Prophet is saying, because we're conversating today, right? I'm going through some things right now that I'm contemplating on now. See? That's what I'm talking about. We're trying to figure out, and that's good you're contemplating on it right now, Prophet Reese. It's good that you're thinking about it, you're contemplating, because you don't want to make harsh decisions. You don't want to make rash decisions like, I'm going to do this right now, because we always hear you do not make permanent decisions on temporary situations, because when you do that, at the end of the day, you have to come back and you have to try to figure out, how can I resolve this, how can I redo this? So that's good. Contemplate on it, Prophet Reese. Contemplate on it, and don't move until God says to do. Don't make the decision until God says to make the decision. If you need some wise counsel, Apostle and I are here for you, right? Give us a call or a text. We got you, right? So there are things we go through in life that we we try to understand. So the wisest man Solomon says is this way in Proverbs 4 and verse 5. In a God's translation, Prophetess Diaz, you outside in that cold, I feel for you. Ooh, I feel for you. If you were in my neighborhood, I would stop by and give you a nice hot cup of tea. But you're not. You're too far, prophetess D's. Like, I can't go that far. I can't come all the way to where you at, right? Right, brother Lee? Right, brother James Lee? It's too far. So Solomon says this in Proverbs 4:5, God's translation. He says, acquire wisdom, acquire understanding. Do not forget. Do not turn away from the words that I have spoken. So here's Solomon is telling us, the King James Version says, get it. The King James Version says, get wisdom, get understanding. So Solomon is telling us, acquire it. Right, Prophet Joyce? He's telling us, get it. Get the wisdom. Get the understanding. Not only wisdom, the understanding. This is what I love about Proverbs. Proverbs, my man. He's my boo. Right? He wants us to get it. He wants us to get the understanding. Then he says, do not forget. Do not turn away from the words that I've spoken. So when you get the understanding, he's saying, don't forget, Prophet Reese. Don't forget after you get the understanding. Right? He's telling us to get it. Get the understanding. So here's what I think. Here's what I think, Prophetess Diaz. I think, remember, this is what I think, right? I think. I appreciate you too, Prophet Diaz. I think in order for us to progress and move on in life, we have to have understanding. That's just my thing. That, thinking is an opinion. This is what I think. This is my opinion. This word is not goaling. You don't have to run with it. But I'm just thinking that in order for us to progress and move on in life, we have to have understanding. In order for you to progress, in order for you to move on in life, you have to have understanding, right? Why some things, we have to have understanding, not only just understanding on why some things happen the way it did. So we have to have understanding and understand why some things happen the way it did. Why did your life turn out the way it did? Did you ever do that? I process that a lot. You all know I'm a big processor. I like to process at the end of the night, the day. Why some things turn out the way it did? Why did your life turn out the way it did? Why did you choose that career path that you're in, that job that you're in, the state that you decide to stay in or to move to live in? Why did these things happen? But you got to understand this. You got to understand why you did this. And why didn't you listen to that sound advice that was given to you? You ever think back and say, man, I wish I'd listened. I wish I'd listened when they said that. I wish Mother P. She reminisces a lot about her grandmother, her mom, and she tells all these other stories and these wise counsel that her mom gave her and her grandma gave her. Pinky Parkwood gave her. So she reminisces on these things, and she's always like, man, if they were here today, they wouldn't understand. They couldn't live in this generation. Cause Pinky Parkwood, she probably beat everybody passing the street. So she goes back and she reflects on the things that she did and the things that happened in her life and my grandma's life and the things that they tell them. And I'm sure she's wondering, why did they do that, or why did she go through this process? I tell the story before and I say it again about the woman that she's putting this steak this Swiss steak into her crock pot, and she cuts it and she puts it in. And so her daughter asks her, why you cut it and why you put it in? She's like, I don't know. I always saw my mom did it, so I'm doing it, so I do it too. So she calls the mom and she asks her, mom, why did you always cut the ends before you put it into the crock pot? Is it gonna make this is gonna make this thing taste sweeter? And she said, no, you know what? My mom always did that, and I just follow what she did. So she calls her mom, which is her grandma, and she asks her, why you always did that? Grandma said, I don't know, but you know what? Because the steak was too big for the pot, so I had to cut it to make it fit in the pot. The understanding now that I don't have to cut the end of my steak. I only did it because it needed to fit in the pot. But I have a bigger pot, so I don't have to cut it. So now she have the understanding, Prophetess Cherie. So she doesn't have to do that anymore. So there we go on. So why did you feel that you knew so much and your ways was the best way to do things instead of taking that advice? We try to find the understanding, Sister Glover. We have to find the understanding in this. Why did I ignore those signs? You talk to marriage couples or divorced individuals or those who are going through things right now in their marriage or in the relationship. They're like, I don't know why I ignored those signs. Those signs were there. I should have listened. I should have paid attention more and just run when I had the chance. Why? Right? Because we didn't have the understanding. And we find sometimes that you feel sometimes I'm saying this. You feel sometimes like you know more than others. So if you know more than others, they can't tell you because you know more than them. So you don't have that understanding. So why the understanding? So these questions need to be answered in order for us to get an understanding. You get what I'm saying, Professor Loretta? Yes. Why? Why? Prophet Reed says, say it louder for the people in the back, right? So we get the understanding. So here again, I also think, I'm going ahead with my think, the red flags. Yes, Prophet Loretta, those red flags. Why do we ignore those red flags? You know, he comes home and when he comes and visits you, he always have lipstick stain on his neck and his collar, and he smells like a female perfume. Why do we ignore these red flags? Why? Is either he's a cross dresser or he's cheating on you. You know, these are things. These are things we didn't understand it then because and I was telling Mother P this week. Mother P and I, Pastor and I were talking about this the other day. That love is blind. That you can love someone so much that you can be blinded to their faults and to their flaws. And sometimes when we understand that we have to take away those blinders from the love and see people for who they really are, then we can move in a way of, you know what, I understand now that this person really don't love. This person really is a narcissist, but they're acting like, oh, you know what, I just care for you, I just want to make sure that you're okay. No, that's a narcissistic personality. So anyway, so the understanding. So here we go again. So I think, what's Prophet Shree saying? Sometimes you are in denial and don't want to accept the truth. This is a truth factor. This is a true factor because you love someone so much. Or sometimes it's not even love, Sister Glover. Sometimes you just don't want to be alone. Sometimes you don't want to be that statistic of, oh, your marriage, it has failed. But then reality is you need to part ways because this is becoming a relationship that's unhealthy. Apostle and I were talking about this the other day about an individual that we know that their relationship was so it was toxic. It was toxic every week or every day. It's an argument, and Apostle was like, she told him, you guys need to part ways because this avenue that you're going on in this toxic relationship, it could turn violent. It could turn violent, but you're so in denial or so in love that love blind your eyes. Like you have, real quick, you ever walk down the street and you see two people like, oh boy, what did they see in that person? Woo! But they're in love. Your eyes, that person is hideous, but to that person, the love blind their eyes to see. So now they're like, this is the most handsomest or the most beautiful person in the world to them, right? So there we go. So they're like, so again, I think, this is me thinking, I think maturity should bring understanding. That's just my thinking. I think maturity should bring understanding. Because we think back on a lot of things that happened in your life. You didn't understand it then, but now that you're mature, now that you're age, this is why Solomon said, get the understanding. Because when you get it, you see things differently. You understand things differently. Right, Prophet Loretta? Right, Evangelist Felita? You see things differently. Things become to make sense. Right, Prophetess Joyce? Yes, Prophetess Joyce agreed with me. Thank you, Prophetess Joyce. Say, yes, maturity should bring understanding, and it should bring understanding. And this is what I always tell the kids: when you're little, you're disciplined differently when you're little as you're growing up. But now that you're older, the way that I disciplined you when you were little, I'm not going to discipline you that way because now you're older, now you're mature, now your thinking is different. So now your discipline will be different. I used to tell the boys as they grow up, I'm like, oh, you think you're a man? I'm gonna punch you. When you're a kid, you get a little spanking. Now you think you're mad, I'm going to punch you because you think you've grown. So now your discipline, the way I approach you is different. So again, I think maturity should bring understanding. The understanding that I should listen to the sound advice that's being given to me. That's maturity. That's maturity. I didn't understand it then. I didn't understand what they were saying back then because it went over my head and I didn't want to hear. But now that I sit down and I process it, I'm a little older. The maturity is hitting. I should have really listened to the sound advice that's given. I should have went left instead of right. Because you went left and you're like, oh boy. I have this bad habit. It's a bad habit that I'm trying to change. That when Apostle's driving, if she's driving in some place that I know, I'm like, no, don't take that road. No, go down this way. Take my shortcut. God, I'm like, oh, you're really gonna go there? It's a bad habit. It's a bad habit. Why? Because I think my understanding is I run these streets. I go on these streets all the time. So I know the shortcuts and way to go to the. So if you take my advice and go, and Apostle, she's always like, okay, well, you know this part of the neighborhood better than I do. So I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take your advice. Let's go your way. Because but imagine. My pastor never. She doesn't go down this road, and I go down this road all the time. And I'm like, "Oh, we'll take this way." And she's like, "I'm not taking you. I'm gonna go straight like I always take this." As she always mix up the streets. I'm gonna go straight as I want to go, and I'm gonna make this way because this is the way that I know. I'm that kind of person when I'm driving. I always like, let me go down that road. Let me see what's that road. If I go down this road, maybe I can come to this way, and maybe to give me I'm always trying to find a shortcut. So again, so I think right. You should have went left instead of right. I think my thinking again is I think if you think I know if I know more than those who went through it, right? And when they went through it, they were wrong. And now I can't even learn from them because they were wrong. But if we have this kind of thinking, this is why we always think about the ancestors. This is why again you read the Bible because what they went through it. They went through the suffering. They went through as apostles teaching us on faith. They went through having nothing and believing God and faith, and even your parents. They went through the lack and believing God, and God showed up. So what? So we learn from them. The understanding. We didn't understand it then, but now we understand it, right? Understanding is all a learning lesson. It is. Because when we were in school and they do the aim and the do now, I don't know if they do that anymore. The aim and the do now, teacher write on the board the aim and the do now, and then you from yesterday's work, what do you learn and so forth. And when the teacher come around, right, the leader teacher come around and they'll look at your work and they want to make sure that you understood the lesson. And if you didn't understand the lesson, what happened? Okay, we're gonna have to give you some special one-on-one time, or we're gonna have to go through this again. Or sometimes the teacher's like, well, we still gotta move on to the next lesson. But what is it all about? They want you to understand so that you can move forward. And that is what understanding really is. It's a learning lesson. And when you understand, it enables you to move forward. Or when you understand, it pushes you to move forward. And then you'll get the understanding. Because now you see things differently. Like we talked about it last week or a few weeks ago. Paul says, I see through a glass dimly. But when you get the understanding, things become clearer. Oh, snap. Yes, I said it right. So again, understanding is also a learning lesson. If I don't understand my upbringing, I won't be able to pull the principles that were given to me in my youth. If you don't understand, and that's where knowledge and things are imparted in the younger years. So if I didn't understand that, I won't be able to impart those knowledge. Like when we were younger, so many things Mother P used to say and do, and you're like, I don't even know why she want to be. Like Pastor and I were talking about this the other day, right? This is so funny. We were talking about this the other day. I think she mentioned it in the prayer line. Mother P, her 6 kids. We had 1 million cousins, a gazillion second and third cousins, and plus my brother's friends. So Mother P, she didn't have much, but she had that little pint of rice, right? And all her 6 kids, plus our zillion cousins, plus our brother's friends, they'll come over. And once they see Mother P's cooking, they be like, oh, no, I'm not going home. I'm going to get me some of that food. I don't know what Mother P make it today, but we going to get that food. And that food was stretched to little. I tell you, it'd be like 50 people sometimes. And that food would stretch to feed all 50 of them. Right? And then I told Apostle, I said, so Apostle's like, like she misses those days. Those are some good days where people come together as community, family come together. And, we grew up in a village where all our family, the majority of our family lives. So it made it easier, So anyway, so I was telling Apostle, I was like, but the thing is, what I didn't understand is that these individuals would stay and eat at us. And then they go home to their family and they get a second meal. But that was our only meal. I didn't understand that. Why was that our only meal? We don't go to their house and eat their meal too. So but now I laugh at it. But back then I'm like, they're gonna eat here, they're gonna go home and they're gonna eat again. And they're gonna eat after our meal. Yeah, that made no sense to me. But then also I was thinking that when we were younger, Again, I told you we grew up in the village where the majority of the village were family. So we were younger, like 6 years old. Mother P would send me and Mervin, 6, 7, 8. Now he's like 9 at this time because we 3 years apart. And she'll send us with like bowls of food, or she'll bake bread to another cousin's house or a second cousin house to give this to the second cousin. And we walking miles now. We trucking up these roads. We're walking miles to go drop this food off to this particular cousin. And as we drop this food off and so forth, like at that point, I didn't understand it. I didn't pay attention. Oh, that's my cousin, or it's usually the older individuals. That's my cousin. And then Apostle tell a story. She'll go to her great uncle, and she'll have to drop off this food. And she was the one that found him sick. And she came and she said, eat the food. Eat the food. So she's like, I didn't talk like that. I'm not Asian. But Mother P, she would give us these assignments to go to the elderly in our neighborhoods, and we have to give them their plate of food or their bread or so on and so forth. But I didn't understand it then. It didn't bother me because you couldn't say no to Mother P. I wouldn't be here today if I said no. But you went and you did those tasks, and I didn't understand it then. But now I'm older. I'm like, wow. I didn't really fully know these individuals name by name or so forth, but I was so privileged to be able to go to assist, to even help out with my that great cousin, and just to be like, oh, so when Mother P make reference to them, like, oh yeah, that's the one I used to take food to, right? That lived all the way in Timbuktu, and Mervin and I used to walk in the sun with our slippers and go and drop the food off, and used to give us a bob, or like, oh, take a dungs, give us a fruit to come back with as we're walking back home. But I didn't understand it, why we had to do, but now I understand. Those were moments, those were precious memories, right? So some things in life you may not understand it then, but now you understand it now. So again, when you're growing up, your parents will give you that spanking, Evangelist Felita, Brother Lee. You get that spanking, that spanking, right? You get that. Your parents will give you that spanking when you do something bad, and the first thing you say, they don't even love me because they're spanking me. Because right, Prophet Loretta, you're thinking, oh, they don't love me. Ooh, Mother P is be like, oh, Mother P, oh, she don't love me at all because she's trying to kill us, trying to give me 6 feet under. So you're thinking your parents didn't love you, especially my brother James. yes, Evangelist Felita, you know what I'm talking about. They all come over, and then the thing is, when you grow up in a big family, it's 6 of us. They have friends, and friends have friends. So when they come home with a group of people. It's an army, it's a football team. You're like, why all these people gotta be here? We only got one slice of bread, and I'm sure they're gonna want to take that slice of bread, right? But now those are good memories. I wish we can have those. I wish we can have those days. I think my nephews and them, I'm like, oh, you guys don't even understand. I'll tell my godsons, I'm like, y'all don't even understand the good old days when everyone used to come together and we all like slept in the living room, pull out a sheet and we borrow somebody's slippers and fold it up to get a pillow. Those are great days where it was very communal. Right? And you missed those days. You didn't really understand it. You didn't really embrace it. But now you're saying, wow, those were good days. Those are days that really weaned you to have compassion for individuals, to love your family more than you really thought you could have or that you should have. That when one of them get on your nerves, you're like, oh boy, but I remember, ooh, they lucky. Right, Prophetess Joyce? The understanding. But again, you grow up in a family where your parents just spank you, like, oh, they don't love me. But now that you're an adult, you understand. You understand why they spanked you. You understood that they were trying to take some things out of you. You understood why you had to get some of those lashes. Now you understood. Back then, you're thinking, oh, they don't love me. They don't care for me. But now you're saying, okay, I understand. And this is what you understand. Solomon says it again. In Proverbs 13:24, you understood this when you got those spankings back then that you didn't understand. Then now you understand. In the God translation, he said, whosoever refused to spank his son hate him, but whosoever love his son discipline him from early on. Back then, you thought your parents hated you because they spank you. You didn't have the understanding. You didn't understand it then. But now that you're older and you're grown, you can reflect on Solomon on what he said. They spanked me because they loved me. If they didn't spank me, it means they hated me. Could you imagine that? And that's what I'm telling kids. You can get lashes today. You know why you can get lashes? Because I love you. Because you misbehaving, right? But because they loved you, They spank you. So now you have that understanding. My mother fed my cousins and her cousins. You see what I'm saying, Prophet Serena? Everybody coming over the house. Everybody, Prophet Joyce. Everybody coming over the house to get a little bit of food. And you like, look at them. Look at them greedy something, just eating out my food. But I was never really like that. I'm like, listen, once I get my sleep, ask Apostle. And then we have this thing in Guyana called a bush cook. Mervyn, you go fetch, you go fish and catch some fish, mainly patwa. Everybody go to their house. Everybody go to their house and they get an onion, they get a scallion. Somebody get some seasoning salt. Somebody bring a little bit of rice. And we made a bush cook. We cooked outside. And at that point, everyone would get something. And this is what the little kids did. But then all of a sudden, I don't know, maybe Apostle did it back in their days, but that's their days. They don't count. So Mervyn and I were closer in age. So we would do that with our cousins or our friends, and they come over and do that. And then all of a sudden the big ones now, right? The bigger one, my bigger siblings, they'll come with their group of people. What you guys got there? And they come with a plate. Let me get some of that. No, you didn't go home and you didn't fish for this. You didn't fish for this fish. You didn't go get no rice or nothing. We didn't understand it then. But now we understand. All of that was just communal. All of that was just building relationships, right? And building fellowship with your friends, with your family and siblings. And honest to God, some of you think back, you wish you can go back to those days. Because you understand it now that those were good days. Kids these days, you like kicking them to go outside and play. I'm on PS4, my PS5. I'm playing my game. No, go outside and play. They don't understand it, but you understand it. Okay, so sometimes one of the hardest things is to understand why things happen the way they do. And I know that's true. We live life and we're trying to figure out, why is this happening? Why this happened the way it happened, right, Prophet Sharice? Why is this going down this road that is going down? Why did that family member have to die? Why? We try to understand, but it's hard. Some of the hardest things is to understand. Why did the best child have to leave? Mother P and I were talking about this the other day. Mother P say, his name? And people will say it's favoritism, but it's not. But again, you all know I'm Mother P's favorite. I don't care what nobody says I'm Mother P. Right? But people would say it's favoritism, but you're like, but there's something. If those of you who are parents, you will not tell your kids I love one more than the other, but in your heart, you're like, I can't, Paul, I can't stand Paul, but John is a good child, John's a good child, right? Because you wonder but why do you have to leave? Why do you got to leave and go to a different state? Why do you have to pick up and go? Why do you have to do that? Or even, why did I marry this one instead of that one? Ooh, those married couple, you're thinking about it. Why didn't I marry my high school sweetheart instead of picking up with this bum here in college? No, just kidding. But sometimes these are the things. You don't have the understanding. You didn't have the understanding then, but now you try to understand now. So in order for you to understand it now, today, you have to go back to the beginning and embrace what you didn't understand then. You get what I'm saying? You have to go back to the beginning, Prophet Sharice, and embrace what you didn't understand then. I don't understand why I used to get so much spanking. Listen, I think you guys heard me say this before. When it comes time to spanking, I made myself inconspicuous. You hear me? I did not like to get spanking at all. But I'm going to tell you who liked to get spanking. I'm not calling nobody name. But it wasn't me. I did not like to get spanking. But one thing about Mother P, one person misbehaved out of all of the 6 kids. One of you didn't do the task. One of you misbehaved. All 6 of us is going to have to bear that wrath. Right? All 6, because Mother P says it all the time. You got to be leaders, not followers. But you told us we have to obey the older one. No, I don't understand, Mother P. But you didn't understand it out then. But now you understand it. I cried before I get spanked. Oh, no. Nah. Sometimes you save yourself. Just save yourself. Mother P, if you cry, you can't cry before you get spanked, Prophet Sharice, because if you cry, Mother P is going to say, what you crying for? You want me to give you something to cry for? This is what she says. If you know you're about to get spanking and she's coming your way and you crying, what you crying for? I'm going to give you something to cry for. And if you didn't cry, Mother P say, oh, you think you're a grown woman that you don't want to cry? So it's like, should I or shouldn't I? You save yourself. But you didn't understand it then. But you understand it now, that those spanking made you the person that you are today. Those spankings saved a lot of us from jail. Those spankings saved a lot of us from going into the wrong crowd. Those spankings saved a lot of us from getting involved in things that we shouldn't be involved in. We didn't understand it then, but we understand it now. You didn't understand why your parents say, don't do that. You know, and a lot of people that they grow up in that generation where your parents say, don't do it, but they didn't tell you why. They just said, don't do it. Don't do it. But why? Just don't. But you never even used to ask why. You just don't do it. And you didn't understand it. But now that you're grown, again, maturity should bring understanding. Now that you're grown, you understood. Wow, now I get why my mom told me not to go down that road. Now I get why my mom told me not to be involved with that person. Now I know why my mom told me to save myself until marriage. Now I know. Now you got the understanding. So, you didn't understand it then, but you understand it now. As I hasten to a close, there is a disservice when you live in regret of what could have been. Listen to this. There's a disservice when you live in regret of what should have been. There's a disservice when you live in a world of those principles are stupid and are not for this generation. I can't stand it. You know how many people I hear, and I'm sure you all have heard this. I love you all so much. The audience that I have, you all are amazing, and I love it more because you're mature, so you understand what I'm about to say. Nothing ravels my nerves more than when someone say, "Oh, I didn't want my child to be raised like how I was raised," especially those who came from a good home. "Oh, I don't want him to go through what I went through." Okay, so what did you go through? Tell me what you went through. Oh, and the favorite one is, that was for that generation, not for this generation. You guys know what ravels my nerves too? I'm finishing off. We're about to done. Right, Mr. Lee? What Mr. Lee saying? I used to get, I can hardly see, beating for my sister and brother. You see, Mr. Lee, Brother Lee, you know what I'm talking about. You understand what I'm talking about. One person do wrong in your sibling, we all got it. But not today. Today is more of one person did wrong, that's one person. I like the communal spanking. We all one time, I forgot something happened, and and again back then we didn't have telephones. You didn't have telephones, but your parents would get the news that you misbehaved before you got home. They're already home. So one time I'm coming home and I forgot something happened, and I got my neighbor, this was in Guyana, the neighbor gave me a spanking because they heard what I did. I think I started a fight. Something happened. It must have been some kind of fighting. But Mother P Mother P wouldn't really spank us if we got in a fight. Right? She would spank us if we got in a fight in the classroom or in the school, because she said you're disrespecting the teacher. But if you got in a fight outside when you're coming home, that's between you and that person. But you better make sure you win that fight. So there's principles there, right? There's principles there. So one time I was coming home and something happened, and I mother misbehaved. The neighbor spanked me. And then when I got home, Mother P already heard the news. Mother P gave me another spanking. She didn't go and tell the neighbor, why you spanked my child. No, because what? It was a communal thing. And I understand it now. Because at that time you're allowing individuals to embrace that child, to teach those kids principles. So let's go on. So it's a disservice, right? It's a disservice when you live in regret of what could have been. Or there's a disservice when you live in the world of those principles are stupid and not for this generation. You can cancel those offenses when you understand now what you didn't understand then, and remember those tools and principles and pass it on. Pass it on to the next generation. You know what I can't stand? Raffles my brains again, is this gentle parenting. You know who created that? Fools that do not read the word of God. Oh no, you can't. Don't spank them. Just talk to them. Your child is yelling at you, right? I know, not y'all. Again, this mature audience I see popping up here. Your child is yelling at you, and you're like, okay, but you need to calm down. You need to calm down, and let's try to process this. Let's try to do this. Oh no. Oh, I'm Mr. T. I pity the fool. I pity the fool. I pity the fool. I have to calm myself. I have to hold myself. I know they're yelling. I have to hold myself. You know what? I know of someone that their child was little, and they'll tell this. So Mother Pia tell us the story. and they're on the bus and this child is yelling at them, this child is hitting them, and they're not doing anything. And someone in the bus was like, "You can't allow your child to hit you like that and yell like," and they got upset with the person and yell at the person, be like, "Mind your business." You know what? That child is grown up now, and you know what? That child talked to that parent like that parent is dog. True story. Yell at that parent, "Leave me alone! I don't say, I can't stand you." Oh! Why? Why? Because they was like, "Oh, I don't need to do that. I need." That's right, Papa. I pit the fool. I need to. This gentle parenting, y'all. You got to be careful. This is a system. The system is trying to pull away things from the Bible, principles from the Bible. So you got to be careful with this thing called a gentle parenting. Oh no, you gotta just kind of like love on them and think. I ain't loving on nobody who yelling at me. You must be tripping. You know what I'm gonna love on you with a belt. Deacon Liam, no. He just came in, he's peeping. He knows he had his fair share. He had his fair share. And his mom gave permission, discipline him. He had his fair share. But he was a good child growing up, so you didn't have thing. But you can't you gotta understand. You didn't understand it then, but you understand it now. So no, I know I got a lot I see a lot of you responding, because a lot of you are like, yeah, I'm up your alley today, right? Because you love the you love this spanking stuff, right? So it's a disservice. We do a disservice when we could have done better. We do this service when we say the principles of old are not for this generation. We do this service when we don't have the understanding for ourselves to pass it on to others, right? So again, as I leave you with this, you didn't understand it then, but try and understand it now, right? Right, Shanetta? Try to understand it now. Shanetta from Guyana. Her son is my godson, Samuel. That's my godson. Shout out to Samuel, right? So you didn't understand it, but try and understand it now. It will help you, it will progress you, and in the end, it will change you. I'm going to say it one more time, Prophet Joy, it's just for you, or Prophet Cherise, for the people in the back. You didn't understand it then, but try to understand it now, because it will help you, it will progress you, and in the end, it will change you. Right? It will change you. So again, you go back to Solomon, to what Solomon said to us, right? They will get a taste of the Harlem. Evangelist Relita, I feel you. I feel sometimes like, ooh, these people trying to make me get Brooklyn on them. Ooh, Lord, let me calm myself, right? So again, we go back to what Solomon said. He said, acquire understanding, aka get understanding. I didn't understand it then. I didn't understand why I went through all I went through. I put this in I turned it to a different avenue other than another avenue. We could have got a little bit more serious, but let's lighten up the day because it's cold. It's cold outside, so we gotta make it nice, right? I didn't understand it then, but let's understand it now. Right, Prophetess Patricia? Let's understand it now. The things I went through back then, I use those principles to guide me and to help me to live my life now. Amen? Amen. Okay, so let me pray for you before we go. Thank you all so much. I love and appreciate you all for joining, for being a part. Lord, I thank you for your people. I thank you, God, that they may not have understood it then, but give them the understanding now. Let maturity bring understanding for them. Let them understand the principles that they were taught back of old from their mothers, their grandmothers, and of course, more importantly, the principles from the Bible, so that they can live and be better individuals. Lord, I pray continue to keep your people, bless them as always, and I see them again next week. In Jesus' name, amen. I love and appreciate. Give the Brooklyn charm. That's right. Prophet Loretta, you know it's no joke. Well, I love and appreciate you all. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget, like, love, share, and visit www.hellomarcelsampson.com. And I'll see you all here next week. Same time, same place. Love you. Bye for now. Mwah. Bye now. See you.